It says, where's the point I was reading a second ago? Right, here we go. So it says, in my bag here, I have a foolproof method of controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. So they're talking about a system of oppression that keeps you oppressed. You don't have to lift up your finger, this, that, and the third. A major proponent of that is the connection that we have to this book, okay, the scriptures. That's a major proponent of how Esau has to keep the Negro, Hispanics, Native Americans oppressed. He has to give you a version of the Bible that makes you subservient unto him. That's a very important part. You have to understand that. You can't have it to where Jake's just out there in slavery, okay, with no Bible to worship. We're spiritual people, man. Okay, we're very spiritual people. So Esau had to give us something different, okay, but something that was still part truth, okay? Because the best lies are the ones that have the most truth. If you have a lie that's 99.9% truth, but that 0.1% is a lie, that's a good lie, because for the most part, that's a real thing, okay? Like a movie, you got into where you got these great directors that make these movies. What's the ones that get the Academy Award for Best Picture? The ones that, for the most part, the ones that have the most real life, okay? So that's the same situation that you have out here within the realms of speech, okay? The best lies are the ones that have the most truth. You talk about you saw a blue dragon yesterday, people ain't gonna believe that, man, okay? But you talk about, oh, yesterday you put some facts in there and some supporting evidence, okay, and throw the little lie underneath there, then you saw blah, 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 then people are going to believe that, okay, or it's going to be more plausible, okay? So continuing here, it says, any member of the so it says here, if it's stolen correctly, it shall last for at least 300 years. It says, my method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer could use it. I've outlined the number of differences amongst the slaves and amongst the bigger one, bigger. I use fear, distrust, envy for control. So that's what they do amidst the children of Israel. They bred fear. Okay, they'll use your talents. Okay, your talents to rap. Okay, and make CDs. They'll use that to sow discourse amongst Jakes. I mean, we're all of the same family, man. We're all Israelites, but they use that hip hop, okay, to breed envy, okay, to breed distrust, and so forth and so on. But see now, so that's pretty much all I'm going to read on the Willie Lynch. That really, if you was going to go into it, you have to do a whole lesson on like a special. Okay, you really have to do a whole special on it, and I might do another special because I've done a special in the past. I might do another special on the Willie Lynch letter. Okay, but see, you see the method, right? And one of the major proponents in that is to keep them as your God, right? So this goes back onto the slave Bible, right? So going back here, it says a slave Bible is a Bible specifically edited for enslaved Christians. What the hell is the enslaved Christians? The only slavery it was about Jakes going into captivity, man. All right. Now you had other instances of slavery, but this was dealing with Negroes. Okay, going into captivity, man. All right, and they were introduced in England in the 19th century for use with British West Indies, okay, 19th century. Think about that, because that's where the new. So you got a lot of West Indies out there calling themselves Christians. They don't even know that the Christianity that they going into is a Christianity that was given unto them by who? By their masters, man. Okay, so it's gonna serve who? It ain't gonna serve you. Okay, it was gonna serve Esau, man. Okay. That's why you find a lot of these West Indies, sometimes, no offense, and these Ghanaians, they're some of the most subservient people that you're ever going to find, because they've been into that They've been into that the slave Bible too much, man. Okay. When they were colonies of the British Empire, such Bibles were all had references to freedom and escape from slavery exercised, while passages encouraging obedience and submission were emphasized. Okay, continuing, it says the Museum of the Bible during 2018 exhibited a book called the Slave Bible. Exhibition called the Slave Bible. Let the story be told. Exhibited an example of the 1807 from the 1807 called parts of the Holy Bible selected for use for Negro slaves, right, in the British West Indies Islands. So they was nitpicking particular scriptures because we have a spiritual connection with the Bible. Okay, the Israelites, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans have a spiritual connection with Yahweh Hashem Shai, okay, via the scriptures, and they use that scriptures by selecting particular statements, okay, particular precepts to keep you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans dumbed down. And man, I've been through it, man. Okay, I'll be trying to teach a particular person that's been in that plantation Christianity, and they will not get it, man. Okay, because they've been programmed from birth. They have a culture of being programmed to serve master. Okay, now when you come in, that's why you find a lot of the times the brothers that be in this trip. Now I grew up in the so-called Christian church, but really, for the most part, from my observation, some of the brothers that be around you, there's some real rough dudes that weren't really messing with the Christian church like that. So that thing of plantation Christianity wasn't so heavy within their mind. Okay, so that's why, you know, me, I'm like, yeah, man, because I didn't see it, man. I was ready to, you know, I was there serving master, and because I had been beguiled. But the scripture says if it was possible to deceive the very elect, and that's a good scripture to really read and understand, especially with context to plantation Christianity. Okay. So continuing now, it says that British missionaries used that Bible in education and conversion of enslaved populations, right? And the editors cut 90% of the Old Testament. Now that goes to show you something about that Old Testament, man. That goes to show you something about that Old Testament. Okay, they're telling you there when they created the so-called slave Bible, okay, that they cut 90%, okay, of the Old Testament. Now, what's the major thing that they tell you right now within Christianity? That they don't even read the Old Testament. Now, when you're going to find out about the Bible is there's a hell of a lot of prophecy that hasn't been fulfilled within the Old Testament. There is a hell of a lot of stuff that's written within the so-called Old Testament, okay, that's really relevant to the times that we're living in right now. The book of Habakkuk that I read a second ago, dealing with Esau being in power and stretching his borders out. That's within the so-called Old Testament. The very, hold on a minute. You're talking about the so-called New Testament. Well, hold on a minute. When that man was on the scene, okay, when the Lord was on the scene, what scriptures was he quoting? Okay, you go into the book of Hebrews, the 8th chapter and the 8th verse, the foundation of the so-called New Testimony, okay, which is really the New Covenant, which the covenant was set up for who? For the children of Israel, the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, okay? When you really read about that, that's a quote from the book of Ezekiel, the 36th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and many instances where you had a situation play out, the judgment was based on the Old Testament. You had situations where the Paul, okay, James, John, okay, they was all quoting the Old Testament. If it's not historical account written within the so-called New Testament, it was what? Them quoting the Old Testament for the most part. So they didn't come and rejig everything. It's the same thing that they're talking about. But see, the only difference is that when you go into the Old Testament, there's what? There's major reference to what? To the children of Israel, man. And that's why they had what? That's why they had it to it. That's why you go to modern day Christians right now. They don't mess with the so-called Old Testament, because the Old Testament is heavily goes into what? The children of Israel. And who are the children of Israel? Well, that's a question that people are supposed to be asking. And when you find out from biblical prophecy, okay, when you find out from history, you find out that the children of Israel are the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. That's why they cut 90% of that book, okay, and gave you a mishmash, okay, of I was gonna say BS, but they give you a mishmash of truth, Okay, and and they didn't give you the full story, man. That's like coming into the movie 10 minutes before the whole movie's ended, and you're trying to say you understand it. Hold on a minute. What? Let's put it into context. If the whole rulership of the earth up to this point was a long movie, right? And you came in right now when Esau was in rulership, of course you was going to think that Esau was in rulership forever. But the Bible is so much larger than that. You had a situation where what? You had a situation where the Media Persians ruled for a particular time. The Greeks ruled for a particular time. The Babylonians ruled for a particular time. All of those are what? They're all, what's the word I'm looking for? Illustrated within the scriptures. All of those instances of rulership were all illustrated within the Bible, man. Okay? But like I said, if you cut 90% of all of that away, you're going to have no historical context. You're going to have no perception of truth. Okay, and that's why they cut it away. And that's why you got to where the Christians are today, especially within them Negro, Hispanic, and Native American churches, they don't deal with the so-called Old Testament because the master has trained them not to deal with it, man. Okay, I'm going to read that again. It says, the editors cut 90% of the Old Testament, okay, and 50% of the New Testament. Because like I said, in the New Testament, you got it to where you can really kind of swing the New Testament to other things, because the New Testament was all about what? All about the Israelites, going back onto the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 64th verse, the scattered Israelites being brought back in, being grafted back in. Okay? Now when it's written when it's written from Matthew onwards, you can really swing that to apply to anything. Okay? Because there's no historical context. Okay? So it says there, the editors cut 90% of the Old Testament, 50% of the New Testament. Amongst the excluded passages, Galatians 3:28, neither no Jew nor Greek, neither is there any free nor bond, okay, female or no female, because they're all Yahawashi. And reading, when you go into Galatians 3 and 28, what it's dealing with the children of Israel. Okay, what it's telling you there is that there's neither no Hellenized Israelite. Okay, there's no difference between the Hellenized Israelites, okay, and Israelite that's living within the confines of I wouldn't even say the confines of the law, but I'll say living by the law, because you had a variation, a difference, okay, or a difference in culturing, okay, because between the Hellenized Israelites and the Israelites that was living in Judea when that statement was made. But there was no difference between them as far as the spirit was concerned, because they was all the children of Israel, and to them was going to be the promise. Okay? Going fast, keep up. It says neither Jew nor Greek. It says neither free nor bond. Okay? Okay, which was thought to possibly incite rebellion. Okay, but I mean, it goes so much deeper than that. There was a spiritual reason why they did that. Okay, so you get the gist of what I'm saying here. Now let's go into the scriptures. So pretty much what you should be understanding here is that we have out there within the churches, especially when the Jakes get into all of that, that's not the Bible, man. Okay, that's not the understanding of the scriptures. Going back onto the biblical times, not the biblical times, going back onto the times of slavery times, dudes weren't dealing with the so-called Old Testament, because he gave you historical context about what the New Testament was talking about. And they only dealt with 50% of the New Testament, and that's indicative of what these Christians are like today. You really speak to a Christian and you tell them, especially a Negro, Hispanic, or Native American Christian, you tell them about what the Bible is really talking about, they'll walk down the street, man. Let the Most High open that person's mind out, okay, to understand what the Bible is dealing with. I don't know why I've opened that application. That's not the application I wanted. But now let's go into the scriptures. Okay. Start off here within the book of Romans 9 verse 8. 9 and 8. Romans 11 and 7. Okay. It's the book of Romans 11 and 7. It says, what then? Israel hath not obtained that which it seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it. So you got into where that zeal, okay, there's a particular zeal towards truth that the children naturally possess, the children of Israel naturally possess. And the Bible is telling you there that what? Okay, you got Jake, they were seeking for the truth, and Esau created plantation Christianity, where you got a lot of people that was what? They have been sucked up into plantation Christianity, man. They're vested in that, man. Okay, they're heavily into that. Okay, because the Lord hasn't what? Hasn't given them the word, the truth, right? So it says there, what then Israel has not obtained that which is seeketh for, but the election has obtained it, and the rest were blinded. So you're gonna have it. You got it to where a lot of Jakes, they were blinded from this truth. Now let's speak about that for a little bit. So the book of Isaiah, the 6th chapter, and 9. Isaiah 6 and 9, it says, and he said, go tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, see ye indeed, but perceive not. So they see the prophecies coming to pass. World War III, that's the thing that's coming to pass. Okay, what else is coming to pass? All right, you got the thing of World War III coming out there. The RFID chip, mark of the beast. That's the thing that's a heavy thing out there, man. Okay, you got Esau putting chips in bank cards. He's putting the chip in your phone. Okay, he's putting the chip in everything, man. Okay, your entry system into your workplace now, you're gonna do it via some plastic card with a mark of the beast RFID chip. So it's not gonna be no technological stretch to just consolidate all of those cards and all of those chips into one that you insert into your arm. I mean, like literally, to access medical, on your passport out here within Britain, or on your Visa card that they give you, the biometric Visa card out here, you got a chip in there. Okay, and within the passport you got a chip in there, RFID chip, a mark of the beast. Within your mobile phones, you got what's known as near field communication, which is nothing but another chip. Okay, within your bank card you got another chip. Your bus pass you got another chip. Okay, you're getting into work, you got another chip. Okay, you got what's known as an access card to get into your so-called job. Okay, your ID card within work, that's all got a chip. It's not a technological stretch to consolidate all of those chips and to make them into one, man. Okay, and that's gonna be what's gonna be implanted within your arm, and that's how you're gonna access all your online profiles, your data, your location, wherever you're gonna be at. That's how they're gonna access all of that information, just via that one chip, because it's gonna be for these people, it's gonna be convenient. But those are the prophecies that the Lord speaks about, and those are the things that was written about within the scriptures. Okay, that was said. Look, this is where you're gonna have to be circumspect of. All right, but see, guess what? The rest was gonna be blinded, man. Let me see what my count is. Okay, yeah, 17 minutes. All right, so about a quarter of an hour to go. Right, so it says that so go tell this people, he indeed but understand not. Where am I? They indeed understand not and perceive not, make the heart of this people fat. So now you got into where the fullness of the scriptures is being pushed out there, but through the workings of Esau, from the slave Bible to Willie Lynch and many other things that Esau has done to keep you dumbed down, like putting fluoride in the water, all of them things. You have a situation now where pretty much when you speak to a Negro, Hispanic, or Native Americans about the Bible, like the actual Bible, they want to hear it, man. They ain't messing with that. Okay, that's too complicated, man. Okay, they want to talk to you about this dude Nipsey Hussle, right? So it says that make the hardest people fat, make their ears heavy, and shut up their eyes lest they see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and shut up and understand with their heart and convert and be healed. Okay, so the Lord don't want to heal the vast majority of these people because they're not of the elect. Right? Romans 11:7, it says, what then? Israel hath not obtained that which it seeketh for, but the election have obtained it. What do we all seek for? The truth, but more importantly, salvation. Okay, but only the elect was going to receive that salvation, man. All right, continuing, it says, according as it is written, the Most High has given them a spirit of slumber, a sleep spirit. All right, he's added to where they're more. That's what Jake does for the most part. Let's be real about it. I speak to particular, so-called worldly friends, co-workers, and that. Oh, how did you spend your set? And that goes to show you, really, there is nothing else to do but to push this word. This is really the best thing you can do, man. This is the most exciting thing you could do. I mean, it's scary. Anything could happen. Okay, Esau might roll up with the boys okay, and you know, take you out. That could happen, okay, but that's the risk you take. But really, it's exciting, man, because ultimately, when you're really in the cut of the spirit, like you're studying, okay, you're eating right, because you gotta eat right, man, okay, you're training, okay. When you come out here, this is, to me, it's exhilarating, man, okay, it's exhilarating. This is an exciting thing to do, especially when a humble brother comes up to the camp and he's ready to hear and learn and understand. That's a beautiful thing. But you speak to the vast majority of these jakes and ask them how they spend their time, man. But the dude be in bed till 2 p.m. on a Saturday, okay, playing video games, all right, you know, doing nothing, man, okay, because the love of the Father has not hit them, so they didn't come into this truth, man. But the example I was making there of those instances is that really this whole society, the jakes that are out here, man, okay, they're in the spirit of sleep, man. And you watch the TV programs they be getting into, it's just garbage, man. But when you go to where you go, the men of the Lord, we watch things that provoke, you know, that was known as food for thought, okay, that provoke a particular thinking, a particular way of thinking, man, okay. We watch things that are that's known as mentally stimulating. Our hobbies are mentally stimulated, all to the express intent that we come out here the next week with more experiences, okay, and more things to speak about, more things to be getting into the word about, man, okay. So going back here now, within the book of Romans 11:7, Romans 11:8, according as it's written that the Most High has given them a spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, right unto this day. And David saith that their tables be made a snare. Okay, so when they open up the scriptures, boom, okay, the scripture says that what? Their table is going to be made a snare, a trap, okay? And that ties beautifully into that article I read. Okay, that ties beautifully because now they're opening and all they can see is the 10% of the Old Testament, okay? Then 50% of the New Testament. And literally,